Hey outsiders, are you going backpacking where you need to keep your food safe from animals? I'm going to show you my two go-to methods on how I keep my food safe from bears and other critters. The bear canister and the PCT Hang Method. I'm Mike and this is Outside Chronicles. I love everything outside, and if you do too, you're going to want to click that subscribe button. And if you find value in this video, be sure to like it. Whether you're using a bear canister or the PCT Hang Method, the first recommendation is to set up what's called the Bermuda Triangle. And that's simply to keep your campsite 200 feet away from your kitchen and 200 feet away from where you store your food. Your food in your kitchen should always be downwind. The first method I'm going to talk about is the bear canister. Many national parks and state parks require a bear canister in areas that have high bear activity. In the Adirondacks, for example, in the eastern high peaks, you're required to have a bear canister from April 1st through November 30th. And when they do the rezoning of the Adirondacks to make it to central and outer zones, they're requiring bear canisters in both zones, but they changed the dates to be from May 1st to October 31st. Bear canisters work on the principle that they're big enough and rigid enough that a bear can't get his mouth around the canister. They can bat them around and they're pretty resilient to a lot of abuse, but the idea is they can't get their mouth around it. Now in the Adirondacks, it's recommended to use this style. This is the Backpacker's Cache, and it's a hard plastic. It only comes in one size. It's pretty bulky. The other style, the Bear Vault, which is like the blue style with the screw-on tops, those come in two different sizes. But it's been known in the Adirondacks for the bears to actually be able to open them up. It's suspected that they somehow sit on top of them and pop the lids out. So this is the recommended bear canister by the Adirondack Mountain Club in the Adirondacks. Other places, you have to look at the local rules and regulations and recommendations. The advantage of a bear canister is it's super easy to use. This particular model has two locks on the top that you just use a coin or a knife to unlock both of these, and then it pops open and you put all of your food and other things that smell, your toiletries, your garbage, everything's going to want to go into the bear canister. And what I usually do is I line this with a garbage bag just to give it a little bit of extra protection against the elements, and maybe it holds in the scent a little bit better. So then you just put all your stuff in there, lock both sides, and then you're good to go. What you want to do is place this canister about 200 feet away from your camp. You want to place it in a place where if the bear were to find it and he knocks it around, it doesn't go falling into a ravine or into water. These are not waterproof. And what I usually do is I'll find a location where I can put it up against a rock, very inconspicuous, and maybe it's protected on three sides, and I'll put it upside down so I can have a little bit more protection from the elements. I also suggest putting some sort of reflective tape on these, and maybe even a bright color, either a painted like orange blaze on there or a bright sticker, because they get really hard to find in the dark, and if that bear batted it around, it could be a few hundred feet from where you left it. I use the bear canister obviously in places that require it, but I'll also use it in places that I know that there's kind of moderate bear activity. It's very convenient. You just put all your food in here, your toiletries and your garbage, and you put it a couple hundred feet away from camp and you set it and forget it. The disadvantage of these guys is it's super bulky. I try to get it inside my pack, but a lot of times I have too much stuff and it has to go on the outside of my pack. They make sleeves where you can actually put this on the outside of the pack, but what I did is I just put some paracord with tape, and I use this to just strap it onto my pack. The other disadvantage of the bear canister is it only holds so much. So if you're going for many, many days, this may not be big enough to hold all the food that you're required for that trip. The second method I use is what's called the PCT Bear Hang Method. And I'll use this just about anywhere that I don't need a bear canister or a bear canister's not required. I'll also use it in the winter, kind of just to keep it away from those smaller critters. To set up the PCT method, you're going to need a couple of items. The first is a small sack that you can clip a carabiner to. This is to put some rocks in to set up your hang in the first place. Next, you're going to need some cordage, and I recommend at least 50 feet. And you can use paracord. You can also use the Dyneema Zing It. The advantage of the Dyneema, it's a little bit lighter, a little stronger, but it's also very thin, so sometimes it's a little harder to pull down on the tree. You're going to need your bear bag. And then finally, the classic method just uses any kind of stick. I'm going to show you a couple of hacks that you can use a second carabiner or a small piece of PVC to make it so you can untie that clove hitch a little bit quicker and easier when you're going to grab your bear bag from the tree. So now let's set this up. We're going to first put some rocks into our small sack and throw the cordage over the tree. So the first thing you're going to want to do is find a tree that has a limb that's 15 to 20 feet tall and comes out at least 6 feet that can support the weight of your bear bag. Then what you're going to do is take your cordage and clip your carabiner to your sack of rocks. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how I coil up my rope so it just comes undone without getting hung up at all, and it doesn't ever tangle, and it comes out real nice. So you're going to want to make sure your rope is fully uncoiled and free from any obstruction, so when you throw it over the tree it doesn't get caught and stops your rock sack from going over the limb. And you can either throw it with like a football or a grenade method. And let's see if I can get this on the first try. Oh no, that's worst case scenario. No big deal, just pull it back down and give it another shot. All right, so it's over the top of the tree. Next, what you want to do is get your food sack and the running end of your line. You're going to clip that running end of your line into the carabiner. You're also going to clip your food bag into there. You can leave your sack of rocks on there if you want for a little extra weight if your bear bag is not real heavy, or you can pull it off. Then what you're going to want to do is grab your stick and take the bear bag all the way to the top of the limb. Then reach up as high as you can, and you're going to do a clove hitch on the end of this stick. And I'll show you up close how I do the clove hitch. Once you have that clove hitch on there, you can lower your bag down, and it's going to stay high enough that a bear can't reach it. So we're 6 feet away from the tree. It can't climb up and get it from that direction. We're 10 to 12 feet up here, and we're also 6 feet down from the limb. So that bear bag hang is pretty good right where it is. That'll be pretty effective. Then when you want to get to your food, all you do is pull down on the string and then undo your clove hitch, and your bear bag comes all the way down. Now, if your bear bag is really, really heavy, one thing you can do is get a really long stick. And what I like to do is I'll put it up as high as I can with my hand, and then either get a buddy, or you can do it yourself. You can just use the stick to push it up to the top of the tree. So I mentioned there's two things you can do to make this even easier. I usually don't use either of these methods, I just use the stick. But you can use a piece of PVC, which makes that clove hitch much easier to slide off of the PVC, or you can use a second carabiner. So I'll demonstrate both of those. So it starts out the same, throw it over the tree, get your bear bag all the way to the top. And you just put this clove hitch in like you did before, and comes down just the same. But what's nice about the little piece of PVC is you can just slide that clove hitch right off, and it comes off real easy. The carabiner is a similar principle, just to make it easier to access your food multiple times. So what you're going to do is you're going to go all the way to the top again. This time you're going to put a loop in your line. I'm just going to do a quick alpine butterfly here. And you can see it's a little cumbersome because it's above your head, but the advantage is you can just clip in a carabiner. And the only thing you need to know is this carabiner needs to be bigger than the carabiner that's on your bear sack. So we'll put that on, comes down just the same, and it hangs. The advantage of this is once you have that loop in there, you can pull it down, pull your carabiner out, and your bag can come down. Now to put it back up, it's as easy as sliding it back up the tree, clipping the carabiner on, and hanging it just the same. So those are 2 easy hacks. Again, most of the time you got sticks all around you. I use a stick. If I can't get that clove hitch out for some reason, I'll just break the stick in half and it comes out real easy. So the PCT method requires that you know at least 2 knots, a bowline and a clove hitch. And the bowline is used to clip your carabiner onto the end of your line. So if you haven't seen any of my videos, I'm just going to tie a quick bowline on this line to connect my carabiner to. Okay, so I just clip my carabiner and I'm all set there. The next knot is the clove hitch, and you're going to connect that up to a stick. So pretend this line is hanging down and you're going to reach up as high as you can, place that stick on the line, and then what I do is I'll go once over the top towards me, and then what I'm going to do is create that backwards P and just put it right over the top, creating the clove hitch. If you're going to use the advanced method with the clip-on of the carabiner on the loop, you're going to need to know how to do an alpine butterfly. And pretend this is the line hanging down. So what I did is I looped this 3 times over my hand. Then what you do is you grab the middle one and go under the far side, and then come all the way around on that first one and pull it through. Get your hand out of there, and you have an alpine butterfly that you can clip that carabiner to. And as promised, I'm going to show you how I coil my rope so I don't get any tangles, and I can just pull it out and I'm ready to go hang my food up. So what I do is we have our carabiner and our bowline. I'm going to place that in between my index finger and middle finger. And then what you're going to do is use your pinky and your thumb to create a figure 8 around, and you just keep going until you got maybe a foot, foot and a half of line left. So once you got your bundle, and if you got a little bit more than a foot, that's okay. You take it off of your hands, okay? So I got my bundle, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that running end away from my carabiner and my bowline. So I'm just going to start wrapping the rope. You can make it look as nice and neat as you want and as tight as you want. But when you get down to the end, you're just going to use that same half hitch. You're going to make that P and just go over the top of your line and pull it tight. Then when you're ready to use your coil, all you do is you grab your bowline or your carabiner and just pull it out. And it should uncoil, knot free, tangle free every single time. You can use this for your PCT Hang Method. You can also use it for your clotheslines or any other ridge line that you need to create. Protecting your food on the trail shouldn't be hard. Always use a bear canister where it's required, and you can even use it when it's not required. Yeah, it's bulky, but it's super convenient and reliable. And if you're not required to use a bear canister or you're camping in winter, the PCT method is a great way to protect your food. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to click that like button. If you want to see other outdoor adventures, gear reviews, and how-tos, be sure to subscribe to my channel. That's it for now. I'll see you guys outside.